What if everything you have been taught about money is wrong? What if becoming rich has less to do with how smart you are and everything to do with how calm you stay? Most people believe money is about math, numbers, charts, interest rates. But the truth, money is about behavior, about fear, about greed, about ego and patience. Two people can earn the same amount. One ends up broke. The other ends up free. Why? Because one knew how to manage emotion, and the other let emotion manage them. The real difference between rich and poor is not in income. It is in how they think. People do not get wealthy by being the smartest. They get wealthy by being the most consistent, by saving when it is boring, by staying invested when it is scary, by living simply when they could have shown off. Money is not a race. It is a mindset. And if your mindset is wrong, your bank account will always reflect it. So ask yourself this. Do you want to just look rich? Or do you want to be quietly wealthy? Because true wealth is silent. It grows in the background, in the shadows of self-discipline, in the small, repeated choices no one sees. And that is what this video is all about. We are going to break down the timeless lessons from the psychology of money. Lessons that are not just about dollars, but about decisions. Because once you change how you think, you will change your money forever. Like this video. Subscribe for more life-changing summaries. And share it with someone who needs to master their money by mastering themselves. Section 1. Wealth is what you do not see. He pulled into the parking lot driving a red Ferrari. Windows tinted, wheels polished, engine humming like a beast. People turned their heads. Some stared, some whispered. He must be rich. But was he? That Ferrari may have cost $250,000. It may be leased or bought on credit. He may be drowning in debt or one paycheck away from losing it all. Here's the truth. Wealth is not what you see. Wealth is what you do not see. The car, the clothes, the big house, they are just signs of spending, not saving, not investing, not security. We see the lifestyle, but we do not see the bank account. And often, the flashiest people have the smallest cushions. Real wealth. It's quiet. It hides in plain sight. It lives in simple choices, made over and over again. Let's make this clear. If you save $500 a month and invest it wisely, you could have $100,000 in 10 years. No one will clap for you. No one will notice. You will not have a Ferrari, but you will have freedom. And freedom is better than applause. We live in a world that rewards appearances, that celebrates big spenders. We see someone fly first class, and we admire them. But we do not ask, how much did they save last year? Do they have peace of mind? Can they sleep at night? Wealth is not about what you spend. It is about what you keep. It is not flashy. It is quiet. It is slow. It is steady. Now, let us talk about one of the most important stories in the book. Morgan Housel shares a moment that changed the way he saw money. He was working as a valet at a high-end hotel. Luxury cars were always coming in. One day, a man pulled up in a brand new Ferrari, the kind of car that turns heads and makes jaws drop. Morgan admired the car, complimented the man, but then he realized something powerful. He was not admiring the man. He was admiring the car. The man didn't gain respect. The car did. That moment stuck with him. He realized buying expensive things does not make people admire you. They admire the thing, not the person. So what are you really buying? Are you buying respect, or are you just renting attention? This is where so many people go wrong. They confuse being rich with looking rich. They spend money to prove something, to show status, to feel powerful. But here is the irony. The more you try to look rich, the less rich you actually become. Because every dollar spent on image is a dollar not invested, a dollar not saved, a dollar not working for your future. Let us take an example. Imagine two people. Person A drives a flashy car, eats at expensive restaurants, and wears designer clothes. Person B drives a used car, eats at home, and wears simple outfits. From the outside, A looks successful, B looks average, but 10 years later, A is still living paycheck to paycheck. B owns 2 rental properties and has no debt. Which one is truly wealthy? The answer is obvious, but it's hard to live like B in a world that worships A. That's why you need clarity. You need to define wealth for yourself. Is it freedom, time, peace of mind? Because true wealth is the ability to say no to stress, no to toxic jobs, no to living just to impress others, and most of all, to say yes to yourself. Now let's be honest. It feels good to be noticed, to walk into a room and be admired, to post something online and see the likes pour in. But that feeling fades, and if you chase it too long, you will run out of money and energy. Here's what Morgan Housel wants us to understand. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to build quietly and live wisely, because wealth is not loud. It is not something you show. It is something you grow. So the next time you see someone flaunting money, pause, admire the car, smile at the clothes, but remember, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. The real game is learning to walk away from applause so you can walk toward freedom. Section 2. Luck, risk, and the unpredictable game. You worked hard. You followed every rule. You made smart choices, but still you failed. And then you see someone else. They did half the work. They broke the rules. They got lucky. It hurts. It feels unfair. But here is what you must understand. Life is not fair. Money is not fair. Success is never a straight line. Luck and risk, they are 2 sides of the same coin, and they both shape your financial story. You can do everything right and still lose. You can make one mistake and win big. This is not a flaw. It is how the world works. Let us take an example from the book. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in history. Brilliant, focused, visionary, but also lucky. Why? Because he happened to attend one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer lab in 1968. Only a handful of schools had that kind of access. If Gates had gone to any other school, he might never have touched a computer. He might never have built Microsoft. That is not to say he did not work hard. He did, but his path started with luck. Now imagine his classmates, kids just as smart, just as curious, but without the same outcome. Were they failures, or were they just living in a different version of chance? Morgan Housel says this: be careful who you praise, be careful who you blame, because luck plays a bigger role than we admit. And risk, it is always right behind it. You could make one wrong decision, take one bad investment, or just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it all falls apart. So what do we do with this truth? Do we stop trying? Do we give up control? No. We act with humility. We stop judging success only by results. We start asking deeper questions. Not, Did it work? But was it a smart decision based on what you knew? Because in finance, a good decision can still lead to a bad outcome. And a bad decision can sometimes reward you. That is the hard part, but it is also what separates the wise from the reckless. Take this example. Two investors. One takes wild risks, wins big, and gets rich. The other plays it safe, grows slowly, and avoids disaster. Who wins? Maybe the first one looks smarter at first, but 10 years later, the second one is still in the game, still growing, still at peace. That is the point. Survival beats brilliance. Staying in the game is the ultimate strategy. You can afford to be wrong sometimes, as long as you are still standing. So, how do you live this way? You respect risk. You plan for bad days. You build a margin of safety. You do not bet everything on one roll of the dice. You diversify. You protect your downside. You live below your means. Because you never know what tomorrow brings. A crash, a layoff, a pandemic. It can happen, and it does. But when you respect risk, you do not fear it. You prepare for it, and that makes you calm. Now, here's another lesson from Housel. Nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. The market will rise. The market will fall, but neither will last forever. So do not get too high during the good times, and do not sink during the bad times. Stay steady, stay humble, because the game of money is not just about growing fast. It is about staying in long enough to let the odds work in your favor. In the end, luck and risk are part of life. You cannot control them, but you can control how you respond. You can choose gratitude when luck visits. You can choose caution when risk knocks. You can choose wisdom every day. So do not compare your path to someone else's. Their luck is not your fault. Their risk is not your responsibility. Walk your path. Build your base. And remember, a calm mind is worth more than a lucky break. Section 3. Getting rich versus staying rich. Anyone can get lucky once, but staying lucky, that takes skill. You see, getting rich is exciting. It takes bold moves, risk, courage, big bets. But staying rich, that takes something quieter, something harder, humility. Most people never learn that difference. They chase more, they push harder, they gamble again, and they lose it all. Getting rich is about offense. Staying rich is about defense. Do not forget this. You only need to get rich once, but you must stay rich for the rest of your life. Let's look at Warren Buffett. People think he is rich because he is a genius investor. And yes, he is brilliant, but that is not his secret. Buffett started investing at age 10. He is still investing in his 90s. That means he has been compounding for over 80 years. Do you know how much of his wealth came after his 65th birthday? Almost all of it. His real edge? Time. And not going broke. He did not jump in and out of markets. He did not chase every trend. He did not try to get rich faster. He tried to get rich forever. Now think about that. Most people want quick wins. They want to double their money overnight. But Buffett played the long game, and he won big. That is the power of staying rich. But how do you do that? You save. You plan. You build a cushion. You respect the unknown. Because the future is never certain. Plans fail. Markets crash. Jobs end. Life changes. That is why Morgan Housel says, the most important part of every financial plan is to plan for the plan not going according to plan. It sounds strange, but it is true. Imagine this. You build a perfect budget. You invest in the right places. Everything is going well. And then, a medical emergency, a family crisis, a global recession. It happens to everyone. So, the wise build a margin of safety. They leave room for life. They do not borrow to the edge. They do not overextend. They live slightly below their means. So when storms come, they do not fall. Here's a story. A man makes $1 million. He buys a mansion, buys 2 cars, goes on luxury vacations. He looks successful, but he saved nothing. The moment his income stops, it is all gone. Now meet another man. He earns less, but he saves 30% of his income. He invests steadily. He lives simply. 10 years later, the second man is financially free. The first one is drowning in debt. Who really won? This is what staying rich means. It is not just about making more. It is about losing less. That takes discipline and humility, because you must admit, you do not know what is coming. You prepare anyway. You play it safe when others get greedy. You walk away from risk when it is too loud. This is not fear. This is wisdom. It is okay to miss a hot stock. It is okay to be boring with your money, because boring builds stability. Stability builds freedom. And freedom? That is real wealth. Let us go deeper. Many people go broke after getting rich. Why? Because they confuse success with invincibility. They think, if I did it once, I can do it again. But timing matters. Luck matters. And the world changes. So they bet again. And this time, they lose. The lesson? Never gamble what you cannot afford to lose. Never risk what you already have for what you do not really need. Staying rich means stepping back, being okay with enough, and not tying your self-worth to your net worth. Now, let's talk about saving. Some people save for a new car. Others save for retirement. But the best kind of saving? Saving for no reason. Yes, you read that right. Save just to have options. Save because it gives you power. Save because it makes you unshakable. That is how you survive. And survival is the key to wealth. It is not flashy. It is not sexy. But it works. Again and again. So here's the final truth in this section. Getting rich is a moment. Staying rich is a mindset. One is fast. The other is slow. But only one leads to lasting peace. Choose slow. Choose calm. Choose survival. That is how you build a future that lasts. Section 4. Freedom is the highest dividend. What do most people really want from money? They think it is more stuff, bigger houses, faster cars, luxury vacations, status. But deep down, what they really want is freedom. Freedom is the highest dividend money can pay. It is not about buying things. It is about buying time, about having control, about saying, I do not have to when the world screams, you must. Morgan Housel puts it simply, controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. You might think wealth is about options, and it is, but not the kind of options they sell on Wall Street. The real kind, the option to wake up when you are rested, to work on something you care about, to take a day off when your mind needs rest. That is wealth. Let's imagine 2 lives. Person A works at a high-paying job. Big title, big office, big paycheck. But every morning, they wake up dreading the day. Meetings, pressure, stress. They are owned by their schedule. Every hour is controlled by someone else. Now meet person B. They earn less. They live modestly, but they work from home. They walk their kids to school. They choose their own hours. They say no without fear. Who is richer? You already know. The true return on money is independence, and that return is priceless. Morgan tells a story from his own life. He saved aggressively, not to retire early, not to buy a mansion, but so he could wake up and write without asking for permission. That was his dream, and money made it possible. Think about your own life. What do you really want? Is it status, or is it space? Is it praise, or is it peace? Money gives you options, and the most powerful option is to control your time. Now let us flip the coin. What happens when you chase wealth, but give up your time? You make more, but miss your life. You work harder, but lose yourself. And that is the trap. You keep climbing, but the mountain keeps growing, and the summit never comes. Because there is always someone with more. More money, more followers, more toys. But the one thing most people do not have: time. And that is what you can have if you live differently. Let's be clear. Money is not evil. It is a tool. And when used wisely, it gives you your life back. But when you use it to impress, it owns you. That is why freedom is rare. Because freedom is not loud. It is not branded. It is not on display. It is in the quiet moments. Eating lunch slowly. Taking a walk without checking your phone. Saying yes to your child because you have time. That is real luxury. And here is the hard truth. Most people trade freedom for things. They work longer hours for a bigger car. They stress more for a nicer kitchen. They give up their time to keep up with others. And they are miserable. So what is the answer? Start by asking better questions. Instead of, how can I afford this? Ask, what will this cost me in freedom? Instead of, how can I earn more? Ask, how can I live on less? Because freedom does not always require more income. Sometimes it just requires fewer needs. You do not need millions to live freely. You need enough. Enough savings. Enough space. Enough clarity to walk away from what does not matter. That is what emotional wealth looks like. Now think about retirement. Most people plan to enjoy life later. But what if you brought some of that joy into your life now? What if you chose a simpler home so you could spend more time with family? What if you skipped that big purchase and bought a few quiet hours each week? These are real trades, and they matter more than any stock, because money is just a means, and the end should be control, freedom, choice, not just comfort, not just luxury, but peace. So here is the message from this section. Do not chase more. Chase meaning. Do not chase fame. Chase freedom. Because when you control your time, you control your life. That is the wealth the world cannot see, and the wealth no one can take from you. Section 5. Reasonable is greater than rational. What is the smartest decision? In math, the answer is clear. In science, the data speaks. But when it comes to money, the smartest decision is not always the most rational one. Sometimes it is the most reasonable one. You are not a robot. You are not a spreadsheet. You are a human being with fears, with emotions, with hopes and regrets. So when you make money decisions, you do not just use numbers. You use feelings. And that is okay. Morgan Housel says, do not aim to be coldly rational with your finances. Aim to be pretty reasonable. Let us explore what that means. A rational decision is based purely on math. It is optimized, precise. It follows logic without emotion. But a reasonable decision, it makes sense for you. It helps you sleep at night. It works for your life, even if it is not perfect on paper. Here is an example. The math says you should invest every extra dollar. It will grow over time. It will beat inflation. It is the smartest move. But what if you feel anxious about not having cash? What if holding some savings helps you feel safe? That choice may not be rational, but it is reasonable. And for most people, reasonable beats perfect because the perfect plan that gives you stress is not better than the simple plan that gives you peace. Let us take another case. You might be told to invest in high-risk assets. They offer higher returns. It makes sense mathematically, but you fear big losses. You have a family. You do not want the stress. So you choose a safer path. Lower returns, but more sleep. That is not weakness. That is wisdom, because money is not just math. It is emotion, and your emotion matters. Think about this. Would you rather be rich and anxious or comfortable and calm? There is no shame in choosing peace. Now, let us go deeper. Why do we chase perfection? Because we are told to. Books, blogs, finance gurus. They give us formulas, percentages, charts. They say, do this and you will win. But life is not that neat. You have goals. You have dreams. You have fears no chart can measure. So give yourself permission to make decisions that feel right, even if they are not the smartest on paper. Morgan gives a powerful example. He paid off his mortgage early. Financially, it made no sense. The interest rate was low. He could have invested the money for a better return. But he did it anyway. Why? Because it felt good. Because it gave him peace. Because it was reasonable. And that choice was worth it. Because sometimes what makes sense for your heart is more valuable than what makes sense for your wallet. Now you may ask, is that not just being emotional? Not at all. It is being human. It is knowing that logic does not exist in a vacuum. It is grounded in self-awareness. Being reasonable means knowing yourself, your triggers, your limits, your values, and then making choices that honor those things. Let us talk about another real-life example. Some people rent homes. Others buy. Financially, the answer depends on many factors. But what if someone buys a home they love? Even when renting is cheaper, they are not making a poor choice. They are making a choice that fits their life, their family, their goals. Again, that is not foolish. It is personal finance, because it is personal. Now, here is something you must remember. Reasonable does not mean careless. It does not mean emotional spending. It means thoughtful, balanced decisions, rooted in both logic and life. You still plan. You still save. You still invest. But you do it in a way that feels right. You might invest less aggressively. You might build a bigger emergency fund. You might choose a job that pays less, but gives you joy. All of that is part of being reasonable, and being reasonable keeps you going, because the best financial plan is the one you stick to. If your plan causes stress, you will quit. If your plan brings peace, you will stay the course. So ask yourself, what plan can you live with? What habits will last 10 years, not just 10 days? Choose that plan. Live that plan. Grow with that plan. Because in the long run, the consistent, reasonable path beats the perfect, abandoned one. You are not a machine. You are a person. And your money should reflect that. Section 6. Saving is power, not sacrifice. Most people think saving is boring. They think it means cutting back, giving up fun, living small. But that is not the truth. Saving is not about sacrifice. Saving is about strength. Every dollar you save is a vote for your future. It is a choice, a decision to take control. Morgan Housel says it best. Saving does not require a goal. It is your ticket to independence. Let us break that down. You do not need a reason to save. Not a car, not a house, not a vacation. You save because it gives you options. It gives you power. When you save money, you earn freedom. Freedom to walk away from a bad job. Freedom to say no. Freedom to take a break. Freedom to help someone in need. And that is real wealth. Let us imagine two people. Person A makes a lot of money, but they spend almost all of it. They drive a luxury car, live in a big house, take expensive trips, but they have no savings. Person B makes less, but they save 30% of what they earn. They live modestly. They are careful with spending, but they sleep peacefully. Who is truly powerful? It is not the one with the fancy car. It is the one with the quiet confidence. Because when life changes, only one of them is ready. That is the power of saving. Now, you might hear this. Why save when investing gives higher returns? Yes, investing is important, but here is the truth. You cannot invest what you do not save. Saving is the first step, the foundation, and sometimes saving beats investing. Why? Because saving is certain. The stock market might go up or down, but money saved, that is real. It is there when you need it, and it brings peace. Saving also helps in the unexpected. Emergencies, layoffs, family needs. Those things do not care about your investment portfolio, but your savings, they step in. They protect you. Morgan reminds us, the ability to save money without a specific goal gives you the flexibility to seize opportunities when they arise. Think about that. You do not always know what you will need, or when, but if you have savings, you can respond quickly, calmly. That is power. Now, let us talk about mindset. Some people hate saving. They see it as punishment. They want to enjoy life now. But here is a better way to see it. Saving is delayed power. It is not about living like a monk. It is about building leverage. It is about creating space between you and fear. Let us take a real-world story. A woman earns average income, but she saves every month. Not for anything big, just because she wants options. One day, her boss crosses the line. He says something that makes her want to quit. And she does. Why? Because she can. Her savings gave her a voice, a choice. That is the quiet strength of saving. Now imagine the opposite. Someone has no savings. Every paycheck is spent. Their job is toxic, but they stay. Why? Because they must. They have no backup, no buffer. That is not freedom. That is fear. So, what do we learn? Saving is more than just money in the bank. It is mental peace. It is emotional strength. It is financial protection. And the more you save, the stronger you become. Another point from Morgan, saving is often more important than income. Why? Because your savings rate is within your control. You might not double your income this year, but you can change your spending, and that changes your saving. Many millionaires got there not by earning huge salaries, but by consistently saving, living below their means, and letting time do the rest. This is not flashy, but it is real, and it works. Now you might ask, how much should I save? Start with anything, even 5%, even $20 a week. Then grow it. Make it a habit. Make it automatic. Because saving is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong habit, a mindset. And once you build that mindset, you will never see money the same way again. So here is the takeaway. Saving is not sacrifice. It is strength. It is your armor, your foundation, your freedom. Do not save to look rich. Save to feel secure, to feel free. Because when you have savings, you do not panic. You do not beg. You do not stay stuck. You move. And that is real wealth. Section 7. Enough, the hardest financial skill. What is the most difficult financial skill? Not investing, not saving, not earning. It is knowing this one word. Enough. Enough is not about giving up. It is about choosing peace over pressure, satisfaction over stress, control over chaos. But in today's world, it is hard. Everywhere you look, someone has more. More money, more cars, more followers, more success. And that whisper begins. You need more too. But here is the truth. Comparison is the thief of joy. And in finance, it is the beginning of bad decisions. Morgan Housel tells us there is no reason to risk what you have for what you do not need. Let that sink in. No reason to gamble your peace, your family, your time for something that does not make you whole. Let us look at a true story. Rajaratnam, a billionaire, powerful, successful, but it was not enough. He wanted more, so he crossed the line. Insider trading, prison. He risked everything for a little more. Why? Because he did not know the word. Enough. We see it all the time. Athletes, actors, CEOs. They have what others dream of, but they want more. And in chasing more, they lose what they already had. Now think about this. How much is enough for you? Enough to be safe. Enough to be free. Enough to take care of those you love. Enough to sleep at night. That number is different for everyone, but you must define it. If not, the world will define it for you. And the world always wants more. More growth, more hustle, more ambition. But more is not always better. Sometimes more means more pressure, more hours, more stress, more distance from what matters. So we must ask ourselves, what is my real goal? Is it to impress others or to feel secure? Is it to win or to live? Gratitude is a powerful financial tool. It reminds you of what you already have, what you have built, what you once prayed for. Gratitude creates boundaries. It keeps your greed in check. It says, I have enough. I do not need to chase endlessly. Let us take another story. A man earns well, lives simply, spends time with family, saves steadily. One day, a friend says, why are you not investing in risky deals? You could double your money. The man smiles and says, because I already have what I need. That is strength. That is clarity. But the world will not understand it. They will say you lack ambition. They will call it playing small. But that is okay, because knowing when to stop is a form of wisdom. Now think about your financial life. Are you chasing goals or chasing comparisons? Do you want more because others have it or because it aligns with your life? Most people do not go broke from bad luck. They go broke from wanting more. They stretch too far. They borrow too much. They risk stability for status. And one day, it breaks. So, how do you practice enough? Step 1. Define your values. What matters to you? What brings you peace? Not what impresses others, but what fills your soul. Step 2. Track your gratitude. Each day, write down 3 things. Simple things. Food. family, health, shelter. This practice changes your mind. Step 3. Protect what you already have. Your savings, your relationships, your mental health. These are the real assets. Step 4. Say no to upgrades that bring stress. A bigger house. Maybe. A faster car. Maybe. But if it costs your peace, is it worth it? Enough is not a limit. It is a doorway. It opens a path to balance, to joy, to wisdom. Remember, wealth is not the number in your bank account. It is how little you need to feel rich. And once you understand that, you are free. So here is the final message of this section. Do not risk what you have for what you do not need. Define enough. Live enough. Be proud of it, because enough is not the end of ambition. It is the beginning of peace. You made it to the end, but this is not really the end. This is the beginning of a new way to think about money. Let us pause and look back. You learned that real wealth is what you do not see. It is the silent power of saving, of restraint, of peace. You discovered that getting rich is one game, but staying rich is another. One needs boldness. The other demands humility. You saw that money does not obey cold logic. It responds to your emotions, your fears, your hopes. Being reasonable beats being perfect. You heard that saving is not just about dollars. It is about freedom, the power to choose, to breathe, to walk away. You were reminded that time is your greatest ally, that compounding works best when left alone, quietly, patiently, relentlessly, and above all, you faced the hardest truth. The richest person is not the one with more. It is the one who knows they have enough. So here is the question. What will you do now? Will you chase endlessly or choose wisely? Will you spend to impress or save to live? Will you follow the noise or build a quiet fortune? The psychology of money is not a formula. It is a mirror. It reflects who you are and who you want to become. So take a deep breath. Look at your life and choose the path that brings peace. You do not need to be perfect, just consistent and clear and calm, because wealth, true wealth, is a mindset. If this summary opened your eyes, like this video, subscribe for more powerful lessons and share this with someone you care about. Together, we do not just grow richer, we grow wiser.